Hey guys, this review's more back with a quick review video on an as seen on TV item. Before we begin, as always, please help me out. If you find this review helpful, hit the like and subscribe buttons. It's really helpful. And also, always try to navigate inside of YouTube from this video. Like maybe check out somebody else's video. People work hard to actually put this information out there. You should probably check it all out, even if it's not me. This is called the Arctic hat, and I'm going to tell you right off the bat, it's complete bull crap. I tried this on subjectively, although I wasn't going to show you pictures of me working out in the yard getting sweaty. That'd be kind of silly. My father-in-law has this hat also. He also agrees it's bull crap. I'm going to go and say it probably does block a lot of UV light, just like most full-brimmed hats would. The idea behind this hat is it is based on evaporation, just like any sweating would do. You sweat, evaporates, cools down the body. That's how we stay alive in the heat as people. How this works is the idea is you wet it and then it'll get cooler than is normal versus just putting a hose on your hair or wearing a rag under your hat that's been soaked with water. And it is complete bull crap. Real fast, it's a very hot day when I filmed this, so you're going to see some temperatures going off. It's about 90 degrees, so basically it takes me a while to get to a point where I'm not reading the temperature coming off the hot porch, but I get to it. It's about 90 degrees out that day, and you're going to see me pouring. You'll see me switching the mode around this thing, or when you see the little house come up, that's the ambient temperature around the thermometer. When you see it go to the little head, that's focusing one particular spot. So I flip around between that, trying to give the product the best chance at working. But you're going to see me just basically test the temperature of the hat just as it is. It's going to get to about the ambient temperature around, which is like 90 to 95 degrees, depending on where you are and how hard the sun's beating down on you. And then you're going to see me pour some water in it that has also been heated to about 90, 95 degrees because, yeah, if you pour cold water on something, it's going to get colder. So I'm trying to get this as close to being accurate as possible and keeping things in some kind of stasis. And here you'll see me just basically trying to see what the temperature of the hat is. It's coming out of the house, so it's a little bit cooler. And it only takes a few minutes of it sitting out, really just a few seconds, before the ambient temperature of the hat itself is about what it is outside, which is about 90, 95 degrees, depending on how hard the sun's beating down. And then you're going to see me pour some water on it. That water will be tested first. You'll see a temperature pop up for the water. It'll be about 90 to 95 degrees. Throw it in the microwave. Got it cooled off to where I need it to be. And that's the water we're using to test. After that, it just sits out, so it'll maintain its temperature of the area outside. This was all conducted in about a 7-minute time span, so we're not talking about long periods of time. I did this all at once to keep the data as good. Camera works pretty shoddy, as you can see right there. But we get the hat to about 93 degrees, 95, depending on where we are on the hat and how hard the sun's beating down on that particular part. I also test the top just for kind of grins, but we're really just testing to see what this actually does to the ambient temperature inside the hat once it's wetted. So in just a moment, you're going to see me testing the water out, and I'm doing everything I can to get this hat at a higher temperature just so we can see if there's any real drop. And the advertisement on this is a drop of 20 degrees. Well, that doesn't happen. You get a drop, and you'll see in a few minutes, of about 10 degrees. So we got the water. It's about 90-ish degrees, maybe a little bit less, a little more. But obviously, if it's lower, it helps out the hat, but the hat's not going to really benefit much. So we're going to see me dump this thing, very scientifically dump this thing onto the hat, and we're going to give the hat a chance to cool off. And what this hat does, and I'll say this, it does technically work, but you'll see a drop of about 10 degrees at most, but that's just what water does when it evaporates off you. Like, that's kind of just all it can get. There's, like, water, unless there's a chemical added to it, will not evaporate beyond that distinction there. So there you see me dumping the water in, and it's all about the same temperature as the ambient air around the house, so we're working with that. But that's what kind of infuriates me about this. I hate it when they advertise things that are so blatantly false, and I can feel my hand cooling off while I'm doing this, but that's because that's what evaporation does. And what this hat really is good at is it evaporates well. It's a very thin material, it's porous, it has little, like, almost like jersey knit kind of holes in it. That's just to increase the surface area, so there's more area for the water to evaporate off of, which helps decrease the temperature. But you'll find that it only decreased the temperature even in the shade by about 10-ish degrees. So depending on where you are, it was 90 or 95, depending on where I was on that porch. It's only losing about 10 degrees of temperature at best. So you're not really getting a huge benefit out of this. I'm going to have to switch this over to, it's just at low because it was on taking a person's temperature. Now we're going to switch it over to the actual setting that's going to make it check the ambient temperature, 82-ish. So between 10 to 12 degrees at best is what I was able to get us on a hot day when evaporation will be at its peak and be most effective. So this is just a example of physics kind of ruling over advertising. Yeah, you can probably get it down to 20 degrees if you wave it around and fling it a whole lot, really force evaporation. But just working in the yard, evaporation is going to, one, take place slower because it's mounted up against your head, another hot source. It's just not going to do what they advertise it as. Yeah, just sitting here, this is like the best case scenario for increasing evaporation, leaving it out in the open, nothing blocking the evaporation at all, nothing adding to the liquid to basically circumvent evaporation like your sweat would if it's a real situation. This does not reduce the temperature. And the next thing is kind of the most damning part of this is I just get a big fancy rag, a super expensive 50-cent rag, like dollar store style rag, and we're going to get it up to the ambient temperature, about 90 degrees outside, and we're going to dump the same water on it, and you're going to see the same result. As time goes on, as you shake out the water and let the evaporation take place, you're going to see a reduction in temperature on that rag of about 10 to 12 degrees at best. That's what it does. Now, if you're out running and you feel, or you're moving quickly, sure, it's going to cool you off a little more. But if you're just standing there, oh, we got to hear my phone go off. Gotta love Mario. If you're just standing there, it's not going to give you that big of a benefit. So essentially, if you want to save some money, get a 50-cent rag, put some water on, throw it under your hat, because these hats were $15 a pop. It was $30 for 2 shipped. So it was kind of silly how much these stupid things cost. And they look kind of silly too. I mean, they got the big reflectors on top of them. They look a little bit silly. So overall, guys, it's not worth the purchase. It's not worth $10. If you get a hat that you like the way it looks, and throw a rag underneath it, there's just no point to this thing. It is I'm not going to go and say it's a scam, because it does technically work, but no better than a rag. This is not any real improvement. There might be an improvement in airflow on a particular hat, but here's the other side of that coin. If you improve the airflow and improve the evaporation of the hat, it means it dries out quicker. So you're going to have a dry hat, which doesn't have the benefit of the evaporation cooling down your head, and you got to re-wet it every 5 minutes, which isn't going to save anybody time. It's going to be more of a pain. Just get a damp rag. It's going to hold the water better, and then re-wet it with cold water. I mean, there's just the benefits to this do not outweigh the cost. Anything that this hat should not cost more than just a normal hat, because it basically is a normal hat with a slightly different material in the inside that may or may not help. What I was hoping this would be a hat that maybe had some integrated like peppermint oil or something that actually makes you feel colder, like similar to how when you use toothpaste followed by cold water, or chew peppermint or spearmint gum followed by cold water, it feels extra cold. I was thinking it'd be like that, because they do sell those peppermint rags where you wet them a little bit and they do feel physically colder because of the peppermint essential oil that they put into it that cools it off. But this isn't that. This is just a fabric that wicks away moisture a little bit faster than normal, and it cools off a little itty bitty bit more than perhaps this rag does, but it's not worth the cost. So skip this item, guys. It's not worth your time, unless you just like the way the hat looks, which makes you crazy. So don't watch my channel if you like the way this hat looks, because it looks silly. Have a great day, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.